I have just rescued Nicholas Gibbs from a meeting with the pump on his washing machine. So, Nicholas, I think you should thank me.
I I do thank you, but I think my tenants thank you more.
The tenants thank me more. Okay. Well, you've had plenty of issues with water over the last couple of months, so maybe your time is with water might be coming to a close. We hope.
Let's hope. Let us hope.
Let's hope for that.
How are you doing, Randy? How you been? You been good?
I'm great. We just watched, of course, Starship do its thing a little while ago. Everything was great. It did not get a chance, of course, to land the booster this time in the 𝐄𝐦𝐚𝐲𝐝, but they did have a very good, apparently, result on Starship landing in the Indian Ocean. And based on, I didn't see the follow-up, but apparently it was able to accomplish everything and more than expected, out-specking their expectations. So that's always good. So and the president was there to watch
Nice.
the past and future president,
45, 47.
45, 47. So a few people think, there's all this scuttle now. You have to have rumors, you have to have the news people looking for opportunities to, get something started and get people potentially, anyway, there's talk that there might be people within the new administration that are thinking that Elon has outstayed his welcome, kind of like the guest who came for one night and stayed for a week. What do you think about all that nonsense?
Um, yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, if if he's overstayed his welcome, so then does that mean RFK has as well? Does that mean Tulsi has as well? I mean, where's the stop? I mean, I there may be like a kernel of truth, like where somebody was like, yeah, it's a little annoying, like we had to wait for Elon, or Elon, is kind of being put into everything, or Trump wants him to everything, and like, I could see that kind of snowballing out to something else, like a comment by some random person who doesn't even matter. But it definitely feels a lot more like a how do we divide them so we can conquer them,
Yeah.
right? Time is, tale as old as time. So
Yeah, I've seen, so many situations over the years that we're working with over 400 clients and also even before I had my consulting business, writing books on small business and seeing those dynamics at the top sometimes, and you see different kinds of dynamics. So I've really tried to get my arms around this one. You've got two extreme alpha males. I mean, these are like at the top of the alpha charts. And the question becomes, okay, are there going to be times when that alpha, relationship starts to get in the way where they both want their own way and, somebody has to back off? Somebody said the other day, I really liked their comment. They thought that Elon Musk was smart enough to know how to negotiate that situation. And I think that Trump is smart enough also because they can bring each other so much in terms of the successes of what both of them are looking for.
yeah, yeah. I mean, look, it's also, everything just happened. It's been what, a week? Like the I think people should settle down a little bit. If Trump was north or anything, Trump wouldn't have gone to see, the SpaceX launch. They wouldn't be constantly together, talking, hanging out. But even then, at the end of the day, though, Elon will and has to take a back seat in a sense. He can't. He's not the alpha alpha. He's he's not the president. The president is the president. And while we all love Elon and we all think Elon's smarter than Trump in everything, and we all, all these good things, he's not the president. And I think Elon knows that.
Yeah,
Elon has said that many times. You see him. I think Elon does very good. He's very good at being the number two, in this sense. Like he gets it. And I think he shows it. Like I don't think Elon has an ego about anything. Um, unless he's very adamant that, hey, this is right and that's wrong.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
So I've defined ego differently maybe than some people do. I believe that when you have a strong ego, not a big ego, but a
Mhm.
strong ego, you are an individual who asks a lot of questions. You're somebody who isn't completely sure of yourself to the point where you're always trying to find other experts, trying to find other people around you. Both of these men have that reputation for
Yeah.
asking everybody around them, even down to the janitor if necessary, to find out what's really going on. So I think that also bodes well for the potential.
Yeah, they do have that in similar, right? Where they both have that tactic of, speaking to the people actually doing the work.
Yeah.
Like I learned a lot about Trump with regards to that with Ivanka's interview with Lex Friedman. She
Mhm.
talked about a lot how her dad would go and talk to the people actually doing the work, that people actually, doing the construction work. And we all know Elon does that as well. Um, but even then, to your point, it's a really good distinction. Big ego versus strong egos. And strong egos can still be big, but I mean, the best, 1-2 punch we've ever seen have been strong, powerful egos. A Tom Brady, a Bill Belichick, right? A Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, a
I see what
Scottie Pippen, a Michael Jordan. Like the best we've ever seen. So, yeah, I mean, I I think this is mainstream media trying to put something out there. Just like
well,
when Vance was weird and
right.
when Elon gave a horse to someone supposedly, and just all this stuff.
Well, of course, and then if you already got those two guys, then you can add the Viveks and the yeah, the JD
Yeah,
Vance, and even Tulsi. She may be a lady, but she's an alpha lady.
yeah.
So there's just no doubt about that. Well, okay, let's kind of shift it just a tiny bit. And that is, I wasn't the first one this time. I'm usually the first one to declare a new narrative. I don't know if you know that about me. I have the see, that's my ego speaking, but I have constantly, throughout this 2 years, I've said I see a new narrative developing, and I really feel like most of the time I've been ahead of the class. This time, no. Other people started saying that the narrative was shifting before I did. And what the suggestion is here is that if I get it right, and maybe you've got a different take on it, is that up until now, it's been Elon Musk saying that Tesla was now an AI company that has a specialty in robotics. But you can't just have the CEO, Techno King, as the one who makes a declaration about what the new narrative should be. The narrative has to come from the grassroots. It has to be the investing public has to decide what the real narrative is. Well, with this new situation, with him getting the big win in politics of all places, and then getting the big win in terms of the relationship between him and Trump, I think, and I think other people are saying that all the investing guys have to take a new look, no matter what they thought 3 weeks ago. No matter how they thought about Tesla, they now are forced almost to go back and read more, evaluate more, watch more videos, etc., to find out what's really, really going on at Tesla, and that narrative is now starting to show up in some of the articles, some of the notes, some of the price targets, etc. That yes, this is an AI company specializing in robotics. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen that for a while, actually. Jensen's been saying it uh, for quite some time. I think you've heard Michael Dell saying it. I mean, I think you've heard several people say it. I think the difference, I agree with you. There's narrative change, but the narrative that I actually see is that the federal government is no longer saying, yeah, you can invest in Tesla, institutional investors, but keep in mind we're kind of not in love with them as the federal government. And that's a risk reward a lot of institutional investors kind of, I think, have to play into their calculus, which I think the veil for that has been lifted. And so now it's like, okay, well, we no longer have a benign or maybe even a negative regime against Musk. Now we have quite the opposite. And so, what does that mean? That can only help. That can only lead to upside. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely narrative change happening on that front. But I definitely think that AI conversation's been happening for a while from the people who actually know. But you are right, I guess. You haven't really heard the mainstream people, pundits, media, etc., talk about. I mean, even on CNBC, you still don't really hear them talk about Tesla as an AI company. They say, well, Musk likes to say that Tesla is an AI and robotics company. It's like, I mean, he likes to say it is what they are. Like, I told you I was gonna be 10 minutes late, but FSD was so good that I got here and got through this crazy unprotected left-hand turn with so much traffic going by. I found the gap, shot the gap, perfectly safe, and got me here earlier. So, as far as I can tell, they've been an AI company.
Yes, maybe it has a little bit of an AI presence. Well, I mean,
A little bit.
it all has to come together. I guess the Trump romance, bromance, whatever you want to call it, is just one more piece, but it has obviously put Elon into the public eye, made him, if he was already a headline once a day, now he's like a headline four times a day. And it's with who? With the most powerful man on the planet. And so it seems to me that it will concentrate people's minds, and maybe we'll start to see more of those guys on CNBC, more of the guys putting out their notes who are saying, well, I took another look, yeah, I'm beginning to see where the robotics part of it. Robotics part of it. Somebody asked me earlier today. I put out this post on X where I said, if Tesla 50 times its current valuation, a lot of my friends who are Tesla millionaires now will be worth $50 million or more. And I got a massive response to that. But one of the responses, but then I also said, it could come from Optimus and Road Taxi, of course, but also things that we don't know about yet. And so he says, well, what would those be? What would be the things in your mind that we don't know about? When I say don't know, that are not really even being talked about by the insiders, in terms of opportunities that could be in the, trillion-dollar valuation area.
In the trillion-dollar arena. Oof.
Valuation, yeah, trillion-dollar valuation. I came up with four. I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot. This is horrible. I never do this to my guests.
Oh, yeah. That's a good question. I would definitely say they could become a, there could be like an AWS component.
Right.
That could be one. Was that one of your four?
It was one. Yep. Mhm.
Let's go. See that. Um, let's see. I don't really think this one is real, but they could get into the aerospace field. I feel like that would be more of a SpaceX thing,
I see.
but there could be a collab there. I mean, Boeing's just not doing well, and
He likes
we got.
Yeah, I think he likes vertical liftoff is his the one he would like to do.
I don't think he does like that, actually.
Oh, I thought he said he had a plan for it and everything, but he just didn't have time.
I don't think he likes the idea of. I think he likes the idea of more of a actual plane.
I see. Okay.
It's what I think. But if you think about it, we have Airbus and we have Boeing, and that's kind of it. And the question is, like, when was the last time we saw some good innovation?
Yeah.
The last time we saw any good innovation is when they added Starlink.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, up until then to now, it's been okay. We got screen and we got some movies and live TV. Okay,
Right.
but I don't know. Is there another way to rethink airplanes? Is there a way to rethink how people get on and off? Is there
Yeah.
a way to rethink like the experience? Like, I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of people thought about it, but I imagine there's better ways to build and develop that they've learned through SpaceX.
Yeah.
But the reason I question is because I don't know how necessary that'll be if we could just use SpaceX and have like Starship launches going from place to place.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine that?
Right. I know. Yeah.
Like getting from
Gonna
place to
do
place
that.
in like
Yeah.
30 minutes, 40 minutes across the other side of the world. Like, Like how long did it take to get to the Indian Ocean, you know?
Yeah, not
For,
less than an hour.
yeah, from Austin to the Indian Ocean, less than an hour. I
Yeah.
can't even get from Tampa Bay to Atlanta in less than an hour.
Less than an hour. Well, another one of mine would be other embodied AI things. So where everybody else is looking at AI more in terms of the, how it's going to work in customer service or planning or these kinds of things. I think Elon has talked about the other embodied opportunities where it's actually in some kind of a tool or it's in your home or wherever it might be, but it would be more of the embodied. So that could be a very, very, very big business. Um, I'm trying to remember what my own ideas were now that I'm stumping myself at this point. Um, there was something else along that line. I'm going to forget now. So uh, I guess we could, before both of us are, just got dead air here, I suppose we should move to the next subject. So you talked about your FSD, Black Tesla today. He says, I'm 2 weeks away from being 10 years in early access.
Wow.
I've, I've seen many builds that have not uh, worked out that great. And again, I've been genuinely, amazed by the performance of 12.5.6.3. I wish they'd come up with a new system for numbering. With a dirty windshield and tons of glare, new highway end to end is another game changer. It's not without its flaws, but a marked improvement over previous versions in such a short time and just may be the best FSD build to date. So we're a week away, maybe, from 13.
Maybe we'll find out here shortly, won't we? Um, could be a nice little Thanksgiving gift, right?
Lovely Thanksgiving gift.
Yeah.
But you're,
Um,
you're finding yours to be quite satisfying.
well, let me ask you first. Do you have it yet?
12.5.6.3. I have,
Yeah.
I don't drive it. I mean, I can't tell you when the last time was I drove the car.
Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah, your wife. Your
Yes.
wife has it. Yeah. We gotta get you your Cybertruck, man.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
have no excuses anymore. It's time for your Cybertruck. Everybody needs to like and subscribe so Randy can get a Cybertruck. Um, let's see. Yeah, so I also have a black Tesla, but I'm not called Black Tesla. It has been excellent. I would say there are still some things I don't like um, that happen occasionally. Sometimes I wish it would slow a little bit sooner as it's approaching a vehicle that's stopped. It still stops perfectly fine, but sometimes I'm just used to old builds is the problem.
Yes.
So I'm used to how the old builds would stop. So I'm trying to put that onto this. And so it's just a matter of learning. So maybe that's not really something I don't like, but I don't think I've had to take over except for me being like, no, I don't want you to take the highway. I want you to take the back streets. Like, it's just for a navigation thing.
Right.
And that's just preference. But it did something really impressive that haven't seen it done. No build I've ever had has ever done this. And it's nothing too groundbreaking, but it's one of those things that we have to do, have to solve because it's critical. And it's the first time I've ever seen it do it. A bus was stopped with their stop signs open,
Mhm.
and FSD completely stopped. The second those stop signs closed on the bus, it began before the bus even moved. Yep.
Wow.
All on its own. No cars in front of it or anything to give it a hint. Yeah, it's like it's the first time I've seen it. So Dan O'Dow days are over. He's got nothing left.
That is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. I mean, well, and it's one of those things like how often do you run into that scenario to like actually test it? And for me, that's probably the second time in 4 years I've ran into that.
yeah.
So yeah, so I was like, look at this. So I was pretty excited about that.
Well, since you're kind of in the business, what the people that seem to be the most knowledgeable about how this whole learning stuff works are suggesting that it seems to them it's just really a matter of time because you just need to give it enough inputs at this point. Is there anything that you're seeing in terms of what it doesn't do, even from what you're seeing online, where it's making mistakes or doing something wrong. Is there anything you're seeing that you think is a particularly difficult problem that would really cause it to not come out in the next 12 months?
I really don't. In fact, it even backed up for me the other day.
Ah,
Yeah, I, me and my wife were like, "Did it just back up?" Like it literally just backed up. I'm like, okay, like it only did it once, it hasn't done it again. But I was like, it's not like it backed up like an inch. It backed up like a foot and a half. I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, that's interesting. But no, I mean, I think it's just more so Tesla allowing it to do other maneuvers that
Okay.
they've been gatekeeping
Mhm.
and just, slowly fine tuning. Like, honestly, I don't even know if they really need much more new data as much as they need feedback from the fleet on preference to tweak. Like, I think we're in the polish phase. I
Yeah,
think the house is built. We're just doing a punch out list at this point, and the punch out list is very important. It's very
yeah,
critical,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because it matters. But I think that's where we are. So I think unequivocally that we're gonna see robo taxis from Tesla next year. It's like I don't know. Like it's not even a question. It's not to your point. Yeah, it's a matter of time. It's to me, it's a matter of months.
Yeah, okay. I remember what one of my other items was, and that was, and I remember both of them now, actually, so I'll say the hard one first. So I think electricity retail and wholesale it's a business. We're already in it, but we never talk about it. People talk about insurance before they talk about electricity retail and wholesale. The total addressable retail and wholesale business market in the world is
Mm.
really, really big. And he's got his fingers. I mean, Tesla's got their fingers in Texas, in England. I forget which other, there's a couple of other places where they've got some retail or wholesale business already going. So once they've got the idea down, they should be able to cookie cutter it out and see if they can't go into other markets. So that would be one. Go ahead.
Well, I just thought of one. I just thought of one.
Oh, okay.
This is gonna be so counterintuitive. Solar roofs.
Solar roofs. Yeah, right.
I'm serious.
No,
Hear
it's a
me out.
huge business.
Hear me out. Once Optimus
Oh, yeah.
can actually do work of that kind, if what's the most expensive part of any solar roof?
The labor.
It's the labor. What's the most dangerous part? The labor. So imagine if you took that out of the equation, and
Yeah.
now here's Tesla with their bots that they have trained for this specific job.
It's,
That's $1 trillion business at that point.
it's that definitely for sure. Yeah. All right. Now we got five. The fourth one, the other one that I was thinking of was something that Elon has talked about, I don't know, as long as I can remember, and that is what is the ultimate
Gas.
product?
What's the ultimate product?
What's the
The
what's the real product of Tesla?
the factory.
The factory. So building factories for other people or being the factory for other people or becoming the Foxconn for cars or whatever it might be. But yeah, I think there's I don't really see how some of these car companies are going to make it if they don't hire Elon to
Hmm.
either be the Foxconn or to build the factories for them. And who was it the other day said, was it Jeff or somebody said, he doesn't even see how these other car companies could do it if Elon built the car company for them, because within months they would be within a year, they'd be so far behind. So it all
Well,
has to be a Foxconn thing.
the, the thing is, like, it's not just the factory either, right?
Right.
Because part
Culture.
of, yeah, it's the culture, and that culture ins inspires or feeds the necessity to find a problem, even when there's not a problem, to dive in, to try to troubleshoot, right? The culture is there for that. And culture is not something I think that you can just recreate.
Yeah. No, no, you almost have to start from scratch.
Yes.
Very, very hard to change a culture once a company is already established. All right. So the number one thing on everybody's mind for the in the Tesla world for the last 2 weeks hasn't been Elon's politicking. It hasn't been how soon robotaxis will be out. Those have all been very big headlines. But the thing that's been number one on their mind has been the stock just went up like crazy. And should I buy more? Or should I trim some? And people have been criticized, like Gary Black and others have been criticized for trimming. Kathy Wood has trimmed like, I don't know, 8 days out of the last 15, but she's still sitting at 15%, which is way over her, where she likes to be. Anyway, we're sitting at three. Have to remember to say three. We're sitting at 345 as of the close of business today. I haven't looked at the after hours. I guess I could just do that right now for fun. In the after hours, whoops, I just did
down 80 cents.
Down 80 cents. Okay, so still sitting roughly 244, 245. What do you see happening in the next, from now to the end of the year? Do you see continued movement up? Do you see us getting into some kind of a trading pattern, a trading range? Do you see us taking a step back? What do you think is going to happen?
It's a good question. I don't want this, obviously, but I kind of think it has to pull back a little bit before it can run up even more.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that the stock can continue to run to all-time highs. And the reason I think that's fine is because we've been higher than we are now with less clarity on what the future looks like.
Yeah, it's
right?
true. Yes.
So like now we know when robotaxis are going to start. We know what the Cybercap's going to look like and the Robovin. We know the state of FSD. It's actually really good. We know that they're going to be pushing for a national federal regulation for regulators. We know what cities or what states are going to start launching this. We've seen the app. So we just know so much more now. Cybertruck is out, right? All of this is new that we didn't have before. I mean, hell, Berlin's up and running. There's Megapack factory in China. There's just so much that getting back to 410, 415, there's no reason we can't do that. That makes perfectly sense. Now, beyond that, I think it gets a little harder because while that's true, we were there before, I do think that we need to see something come. We need some new thing to be like, here's more progress, rather than just a announcement or a showing, right? A licensing deal would be great. Actual, Austin launches robotaxi kind of thing. They released the lower cost vehicles, which it seems like everybody's forgotten about that these days. Right, something else that's a little more tangible that will have meaning to the P&L, right? A licensing deal would, new vehicles would, launching of the FSD of the actual robotaxi, that would all throw to the P&L. And I think we can get to 410, 415, but to go beyond that, we need something that will impact the P&L.
Right.
So that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. And I am looking for a little bit of a pullback. I think the whole market's bound to sugar high. I mean, Bitcoin's still ripping. I think it hit all-time highs today. I don't know what's at the moment, but I think that's going to continue for a little bit. But I do think that I think the whole market needs to pull back a little bit, needs to chill out. And I think we'll get that during the next couple weeks, the rest of the month. I think we'll see a little steadying out before we continue to run. And I'm fine with that because I'm at the point where I'm ready to start thinking about buying some leaps again.
Are you okay?
So yeah, I'm at a point where I'm thinking about, not going crazy, but buying a leap every month. That's as far out as possible, right? So,
yeah.
I'll buy a November leap that expires in, we're 2024, so in 2026. I'll buy one December that expires, and I'm at a point where I think it's kind of time to start doing that.
Yeah, I bought one yesterday. I sold my leaps and then bought in lower, so I actually made a little profit on that. And I also was able to push them forward to November, well, no, to June of 2027. No, 26, June of 26. Because the best you can do is January 27, but those were pretty expensive. So,
What's your strike?
700.
Oh, geez,
I
seven
always do,
hundred.
I always do out of the money.
Okay, that's 700. That's
700 by that time? Are you kidding me? It should be.
but you said 2026.
Yeah, I think it'll be 700 by the end of next year. By the end of 25. I think that's AJ is at 600. Brian Wong is at 1,000 for the end of 2025. So, so 700 by the end of 2025. I'm kind of in the middle right now.
Wait, where did you say? You said December 2026?
No, June 2026.
June, and you get 700?
Right.
700. Oof, that's that is out there, Randy. But that's let's see. Those are not cheap.
I've already made money on it. So,
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not saying that's bad, but that's it's got a okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
yeah. And like you, I've got a little dry powder now, and I do plan to buy some more leaps over the next weeks. We'll see if we get any pullbacks. If we don't get any pullbacks, I guess I'll just have to jump in anyway.
Yeah, I just feel like, just doing, I mean, obviously not financial advice,
No, no, no.
but at this point I feel like it's almost like all is clear. It's just we're waiting for our turn, and it
Yeah,
could happen at any moment with any little thing. Like I said, a licensing announcement, the new vehicles, just anything could send the stock going. So I feel like at this point, buying nothing crazy, just
yeah, yeah, yeah,
contract a month
yeah.
keeps the unemployment away. I don't know.
Yeah, well, a lot of stuff happened over this last 2 weeks since the election. As the stock was running up because of the election, there was a bunch of little things that happened along the way that might have been way bigger if it wasn't for all the hype already happening. Like, for instance, those conversations that Tesla is apparently having with SAIC and Geely.
Yeah.
I mean, normally that would have been worth 10 or 15 points all by itself, I would think. Just the fact that there's a rumor that they're in conversations. I mean, those are two of the biggest makers in China.
China. Yeah, that was the interesting one. And that kind of goes back to when Elon was saying that whoever is going to do, whoever licenses it needs to be in the millions,
Yes.
not, yeah, it's like who else could do that other than the Chinese, right?
Yeah, and SAIC's numbers are way down because they used to be a major maker for General Motors and
Yeah.
Mercedes, I think. And so their numbers are like way down from what they were. And so they need something right now. So I imagine that's why they're interested. And then Geely owns all these brands. And I can understand why they could maybe they don't do all the brands, I don't know, but they have a bunch of brands that they could benefit with this with the FSD. There was one more thing I wanted to ask you, but I can't remember what it was. So um, we talked about Tesla already, up 726 during the day, down 95 in the after 95 cents in the after hours. The Dow took a little bit of a day off today, down 120, but the NASDAQ was up 195. Now that was a lot to do probably with Tesla, but Nvidia had a good day. They bounced back like 4%, 5% almost. And Meta was up nicely, and Amazon was up. I mean, they were pretty much the Magnificent Seven did very, very well today.
Mm, I Amazon needs to do better.
It needs to do
Amazon
better.
needs to do a lot better.
I see. Okay, all right.
We need to get Amazon to 300.
Yeah, you wouldn't have any reason for thinking that.
Yeah.
And the Kathy Woods were mixed because, of course, the bond market was going back up again. Although in the after hour or the pre-market now, I think bonds were coming down. Let me take a look. I think bonds were finally The yields were, no, sorry to say it. So we're up 1.5 basis points in the on the 10-year. Yep, 1.5 basis, 4.394. So yeah, about where we've been for a few days. 2-year up 0.4 at 4.276. 3-month up 2.6 at 4.55. And the 2-month up 4.8 at 4.568. So they were getting closer, but now they're pulling away again. Any thoughts on the bond market? This is the worst part of the market right now, the bonds. Got to figure out how to get the bonds yields down, because yeah.
You're telling me I would love to refinance my house, you know?
Yeah.
It'd be nice. Um, yeah, I'm stuck at a 6% rate for the most recent one we got. Um, but I guess still not too bad in the big scheme of things.
Over the last 100 years, that's the average.
Yeah. But it still hurts, you know.
Yeah, I get it.
But no, I mean, I'm more curious on is the bond market telling us something that we're not seeing? You know, is there something? I I just feel like there is a chance that something breaks that we're not seeing, the Fed's not seeing, and that's how the Trump next presidency starts. It doesn't help that I think Biden is stoking, more with Ukraine, you know, sending missile or shooting missiles into Russia. Like, I don't think that helps the market, the bond market, anything in general. So I don't know. It's hard to know. It's also hard to know if, like, I don't know how to say this. Inflation is still real, but I think maybe I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like people like us, we've kind of just gotten used to it now.
And it's
That
not
we've kind of,
yeah.
yeah, like we've just like everybody has learned to live with it at this point. But I still, if you really look at it, like things are still really expensive. People haven't really gotten paid much more. Debt is still crazy. We're still paying crazy amounts in our interest. It seems like we haven't solved anything. Nothing's actually been fixed, right? Inflation is still going up. It's just not going up as quickly.
Right.
Our debt levels are still insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, people who invest have more money. Other than that, what has changed? Nothing.
Yeah, so I'm going to recommend to you, as well as to everybody listening, that if they haven't already listened to it, they should listen to Lex Friedman's new interview with Milei, with
Okay.
Javier Milei, the president of Argentina. It is an economics course. It is like going to B school again,
Hmm.
and listening to the top professor. It's like going maybe and listening to, one of the top economists in the world, and he is. And what he's done in Argentina in 1 year is flabbergasting. And it looks like it is what do you want to call it? A guide map, for Trump and Vivek and Elon to go in and repeat what he's done down in Argentina. He shows it's possible, and he shows the results, shows the amazing results that he's gotten down there. So if the bond market, I think, began to believe that Trump can get it done, that in fact, he's got the Republicans behind him, that he's going to get the votes he needs in Congress, that they're going to be able to get around all kinds of legal potential problems that might come up as a result of trying to end some of these programs. If they start to believe that we're going to really reduce the size of government and really reduce the deficit, and thereby start to work on the overall debt problem, I think then interest rates will come down pretty dramatically.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it seems like it's the only thing that hasn't reacted to Trump winning the presidency and being president-elect. It's literally the only thing that hasn't reacted, which is ironic because we've had all these rate cuts at this point.
Right.
So, so that would be interesting. I mean, what's your take? Do you think we still get another rate cut in December?
Oh yeah, I think so. Now there's a couple of, we got a couple of more uh
Data points,
data points that we got to go through. We got PCE next week. We got the end of the month. We've got the labor numbers.
jobs number. Yeah.
Think we get another set of I think we get another
CPI.
CPI.
Yep.
Yeah. So we got a lot of data points to go, but unless there was something really earth-shattering during that time, I think they go with this one. But I think that the February is the next one or January. I'm not sure. I think it might be February, like February 2nd or something.
That sounds right, actually.
Yeah. But anyway, wherever it is, I think that could easily be a pause. Even if things are okay, I can
Yeah.
see them pausing just in the interest of being conservative.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I mean, what do you think? Do you think they should, or you think they should cut?
So the Fed cutting should help the actual
Should.
should help. No, car rates. It should help.
Oh,
Those kinds of, consumer rates. It should throw up the opportunity for the durables to maybe get back on track.
yeah,
Uh,
because prime's lower now. So yeah.
yeah, and we're seeing those 2-month and 2-year, come down and on the treasuries. So I think we'll start to see some of that, maybe get better. Obviously, the one we want to see get better is the mortgage rates. I'm not, this is a much more complex area. And Trump has promised to build houses too. I mean, we have so many things that we have to do. He's promised to get the housing market going. Cutting regulations is certainly going to help that. But so many of those, you know this better than I do, so much of those regulations are local and regional, and he's going to have nothing to do. He's got no way to control those. So how do we get those regulations out of the way so that people can start building? Somebody said today that there's a lot of federal land that could be made available that is valuable enough where people would want to build. So there might be some of that, I suppose, that might happen. But anyway, if you don't get the if the mortgage rates come down right now, it's just going to make the price of the houses go up.
Yeah. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. Me too. I've only got 3 homes or 3 houses.
I don't twist my arm.
Don't twist your arm.
Mm.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's real quick here. Last I looked, the oil is either not reporting or it's not showing any change. I don't know what's going on there. That's pretty weird. That it would be unchanged. Oh, here we
69.
go. Now we
No,
got
it's up 19 cents.
19 cents. Okay. And Brent hasn't started yet. So yeah, 19 cents. So not much change, but we're still almost back to 70. Natural gas coming off again. It's really been toying around with that $3. I think right now it's probably mostly based on the winter market, but there was also that thing about Europe starting to buy from us instead of Russia. So that could be some reason why it's up close to $3 a million cubic. I forget what the what the unit is there. Gold continues up, but it's nowhere near its top. 26.40 at this point, up $9 in the $10 in the pre-market. Silver also continuing up the pre-market, up another 0.31. And copper as well, 0.62% up. So commodities, another big question, because commodities, oil, all the commodities, they obviously eventually impact retail on at least manufactured products. They're really down. They're really low. If business really picks up and people start buying durables again and start buying cars again, we certainly would have to have some improvement in commodities, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, but when you say commodities are a signal that the economy is slowing
Oh yeah, that's
still,
generally
yeah.
it. Yeah. And yet,
So,
okay, here's a question for you. How long will it be before Trump and Musk and Vivek give us the real numbers about the economy?
oh,
What happens
well,
when they start applying their knowledge of how to collect data and how to manage data? When they bring that to government, when will we know the real numbers?
I guess here's the question. Do you think they will tell us?
Yeah,
you
but
know?
slowly they'll have to.
Well, the thing is, I don't even think I don't even think they're gonna try to figure that out. I think it's gonna be more so a nature of what's this? What's this for?
Get rid of it.
Why do we need it? Yeah, get rid of it. I think it's gonna be like that. It's just gonna be just delete. Like it's a lot. It takes a lot more time. It's a lot harder to go in and figure like, okay, is this you? Is this valuable? Is this not? Like, I mean, I hate to say it, but Elon really does have the quickest resolution to inefficiency, and it's just fire, get rid of the whole department, and then I can rebuild if I need to rebuild it slowly.
Right. Yes. Yes.
You know?
And Javier Milei was saying the same thing. He did exactly the same thing down in Argentina, only bringing back things where something was a problem when they needed,
Yeah.
you could see it was clearly needed.
Well, exactly. It's like imagine you have like a car dealership and you fire everybody.
Right.
All of a sudden, people are walking in, the phone's ringing. Like, okay, well, I need someone who can at least answer a phone, and someone who can take the people up front. You know, like I mean, like you start realizing, like, okay, what do I actually need versus all the bloat we had.
Exactly. I have done this in my business before, so I'm very well aware of the situation. Bitcoin, as you pointed out, up 865 right now for the day at 92,294. It had peaked over 93 at one point. Are we going to see 100 before the end of the year? And will it be able to crash through? Because that is obviously going to be a psychological barrier.
I think we do see over 100K at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
I
is,
tell you what's even more impressive is
yeah,
micro strategy.
yeah, yeah.
Way more impressive. In fact, did you happen to watch Saylor's interview or PBD's interview with Michael Saylor?
I did not.
Fascinating. Absolutely. The man is brilliant. He truly understands the stock market, the options market, the crypto space. Like we don't talk about it a lot here, but I I would venture that I'm one of the people, especially in the Tesla community, that knows options top tier, I would say.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Better than
and
me.
I can
Not so.
I can tell you, Michael Saylor truly deeply understands what he's talking about. It is a fascinating listen if you're into this stuff. If I know it's like a very niche,
Yeah,
segment of the population, but he's a brilliant man, and it comes across in the interview. I mean, you could tell PBD doesn't even know what he's saying, and it's like, wow, yeah.
all right. Okay. Well, we have the so that's what's happening with the Bitcoin, and then finally on the equities, a little bit of action today. We got Dow's up 99, so picking up some of that loss from earlier. We got S&P up another 14, and the Nasdaq up 61. So all three of them looking positive in terms of the best that we can figure it out for tomorrow. By the way, I've started from time to time. I've started peeking at Robinhood overnight. I just can't help myself.
It's hard, right? I mean, it's open, like it's just, and yeah, it's fun. It's
That's
it's fun to see what's going on,
right.
you know.
See if we can get a little earlier peak, even than you can from the after hours. All right. Well, as usual, it's fun to have these conversations with you. And later tonight, there will be a Brian White. I've switched over that middle day program.
Oh, how'd that work out?
After. So far, it's working. So there'll be a Brian White. I made a mistake yesterday and didn't do it last night. So there was a Brian White at midday, and there'll be a Brian White after you. So people get all the
Can
Brian White they need today.
can you ever get enough, Brian?
Can't get enough Brian.
He hates me at this point, but I
What did
love
you
him.
do? What did you do?
Oh, I poke at him when he says very liberal things.
Oh, yes. Well, he's, I mean, we have to have one in the community.
I know. Well, so we got a couple. I do every Wednesday with him and Herbert, and I'm the oddball.
So is Herbert actually across the line? I mean, I kept feeling like he was going to join us over here on the right.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Herbert. He's he's old school. The way that I was raised, where we don't really talk about public or
Yes.
politics in public.
Yeah.
Um, I honestly, I genuinely respect when people don't talk about politics and when they, like, I'll keep it to myself. Yeah. In general, I mean, this is different because this
Yes.
is,
Yes. Yes.
it's a very niche audience that we're talking to and everything. But like in my day to day,
Mhm.
people don't know
Right.
where I am. I like to listen to other people and keep my cards close to my chest. And, I know something about you, but you don't know about me. And I let people assume what they assume.
All right, very interesting. Okay, then as always, thank you again for joining me. And until tomorrow, well, later tonight, and then tomorrow, to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.
Cheers.